West Ham host Tottenham in the first of two meetings between the two rivals at the London Stadium in October. West Ham's season looked back on track after taking 7 points from 9 against Everton, Chelsea and Manchester United, but a defeat away to Brighton last time out halted our progress. Spurs, meanwhile, have won their last 3 in the league and are sat 2 points off the top. I'm Anton from Manchester United. I am joined by Luke. Luke Bailey is a regular on our show, and of course, to keep in the theme with this season, we are bringing opposition fans in, and I've got George, who's a massive Tottenham fan. George, thank you for joining us. Give you the fans, West Ham and Tottenham, a bit of a rundown on you and your channel, please.
Okay, so my name is George Achillea. That's what my YouTube channel is, and it's mainly me going to Spurs games throughout the season. I've got a season ticket, and I just kind of vlog my experience and share with as many fans across the world as possible who aren't that fortunate enough to go see the games in person. That's mainly it.
Excellent. And George, yeah, thanks very much for coming on. George, you're going to the game this weekend, aren't you?
Yeah, I am indeed. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
good.
Before we came on the show, yeah, just give us a bit of a rundown. Obviously, there's a big topic of conversation regarding Spurs' new stadium, which I said to you, once it's up and running, of course, any fan would be jealous. But you mentioned that you'd been to our stadium last year. What was your thoughts?
I was kind of a bit disappointed. I've been in the area a lot, and I've never actually been inside the stadium. And what annoyed me was just how far away we were from the actual pitch. Which, I mean, okay, away end, there's always going to be a bit of atmosphere, and I just kind of felt like there wasn't any from the home fans, obviously, unless you scored, and because you just don't have that connection with the game on the pitch because you feel so far away from what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Obviously, nice design, but apart from that, I feel like it was a bit lackluster.
the big goldfish bowl is what we call it.
Yeah.
Look, obviously, obviously we have I don't know, maybe you call them the informed Spurs, 2 from the top. Look, what are your thoughts for this game? I mean, we've had the international break. One thing I suppose that potentially would benefit West Ham is the fact that the England team is the Spurs team, and maybe that will, within reason. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts in the game coming up?
Well, the last time we, there was an international break during the season. It worked out for us. We went and beat Everton away 3-1, and going our previous game away to Brighton, losing 1-0. Hopefully, it's going to be another, blessing in disguise. International breaks are normally really boring, but as it goes, we did pretty well against Spain, including that, pretty good Eric Dyer tackle on Sergio Ramos. So it'd be only time I'm praising any Spurs players, but well done, Eric. That's a great little present for us. Yeah, it's we were a good form until the Brighton game. We didn't really, push on. So hopefully it's another rest and recuperate, and we go again against Spurs, because as we all know, for West Ham, it's the big one in our season. And I know Spurs fans love to tell us it's that cup final. But it kind of half does feel like it, especially when West Ham fans don't get to many cup finals. This is
oh, look what you're doing to us, mate. What are you doing to us? Come on.
I'm going to bring this up soon. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to, Spurs fans sitting right in front of me, and I've got to just try and
start on the realistic side, and then we get.
Yeah, that's it. The ribbon's coming, mate. The ribbon's coming. Don't worry about it.
So, George, there's some news coming from Tottenham today about some missing players. What do you know on the Tottenham squad coming to the Saturday's game?
Well, I know that Vertonghen's going to be out, and he's got quite a long-term injury. I think until at least December, which is, I think, a massive blow for us, because I think a lot of people are saying Toby is better than him, but for me, I think Vertonghen's been our best defender over the past 3-4 years by a mile, and he's a massive miss for us. So I'm a bit gutted that he won't be playing, but I'm quite confident in Toby and Sanchez's ability. Eriksen is looking like he could be back this weekend, but Denmark are obviously fearing that he had some rib injuries, I think, like some one in his chest. And I believe Wanyama's back, played for Kenya, so that's all good. And Winks is looking good for England, so not too bad, but definitely missing Eriksen and Vertonghen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully for a West Ham fan, that's always going to help us with the news. But how is your season? I mean, we all know how your season's been. You got slagged off earlier in the season for not making any summer signings. When you have injuries, does that massively affect you, or are you confident in your squad, George?
To be honest, it depends on the player. I feel like what we missed a lot, especially in the Champions League, was Dele Alli when he was out injured. A lot of people, I think, like he's very underrated amongst like other fans. I feel like no one really sees the runs that he does, like to the back post and draws away from players. And there's just almost like a bit of creativity missing when him and Eriksen were both injured.
Yeah.
So I feel like Eriksen's going to be the main issue, because if we don't have that creativity, I think we will struggle against you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the season's gone pretty well. We started August much better than we normally do. September wasn't great, but again, I think it was mainly Champions League results that hindered us. But to be honest, I'm happy sitting 2 points behind the leaders and in fifth. It's looking good so far.
Yeah, I mean, look, not the greatest of starts for West Ham this season. Obviously, we've mentioned we came into good form and then we kind of felt deflated after the Brighton game. But the international break has come in, and you've mentioned we come back off an international break usually rested and ready to go again. And the good news is Arnautovic is back. Other good news is the rumour that Andy Carroll could be making an appearance on the substitutes bench, albeit I recognise from your face you're laughing. I'll give you my opinion on that in a minute. And then Hernandez is potentially going to be back onto the bench after his crazy flu illness he had. What impact is players, having Arnautovic fit, obviously going to make for West Ham coming up against the Tottenham side who are playing in form?
Well, obviously, a player of Arnie's impact and approach is huge for us. He's sort of perfect, especially in a game where tensions are high. The atmosphere is going to be massive because it's a derby, and I don't think really Arnautovic has had the maybe impacts that he's had on other games that he he will have had on. Spurs is a massive game for him. To be he's our man. He's the guy who really sort of brings the the atmosphere up. The fans sort of love him, and gives it a game. But this is kind of the perfect game for him to shine. But the problem is the fact that it's quite funny with Arnautovic, because before the international break come up, he's got this apparent injury to his knee. He's stopping his recovery. He can't train very much. He doesn't train, all week, sort of thing like that. Yeah. But he comes up and he does the business. So you think, why the hell is he going on in the national break? Why is he not just, taking it off and resting up and recuperating? But he goes and scores the winner for Austria. Plays a blinder, celebrates in front of the fans, gets them up, and that's what he does. And the thing with West Ham is the fact that, luckily he just seems to be fit enough to do the job for West Ham, but who knows how long that's going to last. Just quickly, where Carroll's concerned, Hernandez it's like an ongoing joke. I mean, Anton, me and you love Hernandez to pieces, but he hasn't worked out at West Ham thus far. Hopefully, for the remaining time that he is at West Ham, it does. But with Andy Carroll, he gets away with it, doesn't he? Because Carroll will come on. Whenever he does come on, he'll do what he needs to do. He'll pump balls up into the box for him. He'll cause the defenders havoc. He'll get the, he'll raise the game and stuff like that, the tension and stuff. But how long are we going to do this with Carroll? There's now that I know you'll probably bring this up yourself, but he's got this contract thing where we're all expecting him to kind of leave in the summer because we've had enough of him. He's taken the mick for too long, but he's got an option to extend it for 2 years or something like that. I mean, I don't know what you think about that, Anton, if you want to just get rid of him or...
Well, yeah, I mean, before I even give my opinion, I'll come over to you, George.
Yep.
Does having Andy Carroll on our bench even give you the fear factor at all, as a Tottenham fan?
To be honest, I think because it was a bit of a struggle last year as well. I think he's quite good for you guys. I think he scores a lot of vital goals, and I think that's kind of will struggle aerially with him. I think the same thing happened last year when we played you away. I believe he came off the bench then as well. And I think he caused a lot of trouble for us. And we nearly threw the game because of that. So I wouldn't say... I'm not saying like I'm threatened by him. Like I'm not scared. I still think we'll do what we need. I feel like we'll do the business. But I feel like for me, him and Arnautovic are your two main threats. Definitely. Two biggest threats going forward.
I mean, for me, in my opinion on Andy Carroll's situation, I've always said we need to bite the bullet and potentially get rid of the guy, but do you know what? It's not happening. So I think West Ham fans probably just need to get over it, I suppose, to a certain extent. If we know he is going to stay with the club for the next 2 years, then we just are going to have to live with it. It might disappoint us, but at the end of the day, It's, as a typical West Ham fan, always forgotten when Andy Carroll steps up and does what he does at his best. And as George said, sometimes he is unplayable against any of the sides. So I don't know, when it comes up against top...
That's frustrating. That's the frustrating part.
That is a frustrating part, but, you know, if he is going to be here, then we need to live with it. Where I get more frustrated on the Hernandez situation because I don't think he's been given his fair shot. That's not Hernandez's fault. So... You know, people. I don't care. They can't.
I know.
You know, but look, the other thing as well is I don't know. I mean, George, I'll throw this one to you.
Okay.
If Hernandez came up, would you take a punt on him?
I actually was saying I thought we should have gone for him when he was at Bayer Leverkusen. I think we should have gone for him when he was at United. To be honest.
Yeah.
I really liked him when he played for them, and I feel like even at United he wasn't really getting the opportunities he deserved. A lot of the time, I feel like he was coming off the bench, or I don't know. I feel like they were so easy to just throw him away, and I think he would have been a great second man for Kane or someone for us. So I'm almost in a way happy we didn't, after seeing how he's performed with you guys, because I don't think he's unlocked his full potential at all.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely would have taken him for sure.
But I think as a West Ham fan, for me, just having two guys on the bench at least, to be able to come off the bench that can potentially change the game, especially like Andy Carroll. Again, I'm not sitting here bigging him up left, right and centre. I'm not. But if he's here to stay, then we know we can use him to his ability. The concern that West Ham fans have got is that we'll start him every single game left, right and centre, and that doesn't do West Ham's longevity, sustainability in the Premier League any good, because he plays 5 games, does well, gets injured and misses 20. So if Pellegrini can learn to use him as the impact sub and prolong his career, then I'll happily take him as an impact sub for the rest of his career at West Ham.
I feel like you've got to almost like treat him like Fellaini. I feel like Fellaini coming on in the 80th minute, just a big geezer that you can just stick up front or whatever forward whenever you need that goal or something. I feel like he just does that so well. But so if you could use him like that, it would be brilliant.
But he'll do it 10 times better, in my opinion. Like he is unplayable on his day. But I suppose we're spending too much time on these guys. We've come back from the international break. There's rumours that Snodgrass took a bit of a knock. You know, again, this one's to you, Luke. I mean, how do you foresee West Ham lining up? Are there many changes you would make to the Brighton game? Because let's not forget, we went into that Brighton game expecting to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't change a great deal apart from the mentality. I think, like you say, we went in there with the kind of relaxed attitude, going, "Yeah, it's only Brighton. We'll stroll past this," which is the most non-West Ham approach you should ever have. You know, every game for us is you know, as it is for any team. You know, it's a must-win. You need to put the full effort in. You could tell within the first 5 minutes that we weren't the robust we had been. And I think that is down to literally backs against the wall. You know, we've beaten Everton, but then we come up against, you know, the big boys. You know, Chelsea, Man United. You know, that sort of like, it was kind of like, you know, we needed to kind of get our season up and running. And then Brighton away is like, okay, this is a game we can get points from now. And lo and behold, we didn't. And Glenn Murray, same old story. Again, 1-0 loss, typical West Ham. So, yeah, I think I wouldn't change too much personnel-wise. And let's face it, if we had a couple of them shots that were right in front of goal, if they go in at the end of the Brighton game, it could be 1-1, possibly even 2-1, and we're talking a different game. But I think every West Ham fan knows that, you know, we've got to step it up big time, and we will do against Spurs, especially like the likes of Noble, etc.
Well, I was just about to say, Mark Noble loves these sort of games. He loves a London derby, and in particular,
he loves a Spurs game.
he loves a Spurs game, and you know, I can't take away. I mean, George, you will get this when you move into a new stadium. Obviously, if you ever get moved into a new stadium,
yeah, I'm still waiting.
but we obviously when we moved there was loads of controversy over the atmosphere. But that game where Lanzini scored and we beat Spurs, that was the first time I ever experienced the electric atmosphere of the Olympic Stadium, which is not many we've come by, but that was definitely one. But Mark Noble ran that game. He dictated that game, and Mark Noble again is a typical another West Ham player that can drift out of form for 10-15 games and then get dropped and then comes back into the tide and then performs at the top level for 5 or 6 games in a row, and he seems to be at that level right now. Is he the sort of player, I mean, when you look at the West Ham squad, what do you think, George, as a Tottenham fan? Honestly.
To be honest, I don't think the quality is like anywhere near like ours right now, because I look at our lineups and I think like I apart from Arnautovic, I can't think of anyone else I would have in our team from yours. is a thing. But saying that, anytime a West Ham Spurs game comes around, all of your players like stand up and perform because they know it's a massive game and they work well as a team then. But just individually, I think we've got just a far better team, to be honest.
Luke, over to you.
Well, we haven't got Joe Hart this year, so there won't be any making goalkeeping mistakes for Harry Kane to clean up on and go from there. We've got Fabianski, the former Arsenal, reject, as a lot of fans called him, and he's absolutely fire. Now I've said that, he's probably going to do a Joe Hart and probably going to give 30 goals to Harry Kane. It's a weird one. It's. I think but the thing is, I'm going to say something now which is going to annoy a lot of West Ham fans, and I'm not going to get a lot of fans from this. But I look at Spurs team, and I try and look at it sometimes as a neutral fan, especially if I'm playing FIFA, like an Ultimate Team. I go, okay, let's see what Spurs fans. I might have to get to try and make my team better. As it goes, I'm not a very big FIFA fan, Ultimate Team wise, so I don't even have to worry about that. But you've got a good team, and the fundamental fact is that I think with a player like Eriksen. Last season with the 3-2, it was a game where Harry Kane was on fire, players playing well, but if there was 10 minutes left in that game, if there's 10 minutes more in that game, we lost 3-2 at home. I think we could have got 3-3, and that's the thing that as much as Spurs, as much as their team is on paper and man to man is a really really good team, I think you're missing that world class quality in the final third, maybe, or maybe even the last to actually win games. And I think that's something that West Ham have got to try and go, well, we've beaten Man United, we drew with Chelsea, we've got that kind of mentality behind us. And I think that if we spent 100 million this year, Spurs haven't spent nothing. And it's kind of a bit of a slap in the face when you think that where we are, where Spurs still are, Spurs haven't spent nothing and they're still where they are. And we spent 100 million and we're still kind of struggling to get up the table. So now this is the game where we need to go, actually, you know what, fuck it. We've spent the money. We should be trying to match Spurs now. And I think this is a match or even be better. Let's play it safe. But if you feel the same way, on.
Yeah, I do, mate. But I was slightly sidetracked there because George, I'm going to throw this one to you. I'm looking at your fixtures. Okay. I'm looking at your fixtures coming up. So you've got West Ham on Saturday, your PSV Eindhoven the following Wednesday. Yeah. Then the Monday, Man City. Then West Ham again on the Wednesday, and then straight into a weekend game against Wolves. And then 3 days later, you're back in the Champions League. And then 3 days later, you're you're playing literally 2, 4, 6, 7 games in the space of like three-ish weeks. Is that something with your squad depth and your potential injuries is going to have an impact on the next few games, even the West Ham game?
Well, to be honest, we have that again as well at the end of November, beginning of December, where we're playing Barcelona, Inter, Chelsea, Arsenal, Leicester, I think Everton, and then another team in the space of 3 weeks. So we've got a jam-packed end of 2018. And to be honest, that's where the injuries come in for me. That's why I think it's a major issue. And it really pisses me off that we haven't signed anyone in the summer just to have them on the bench. Because right now with the injuries, I'm looking at our bench and there is maybe one player at most I'm thinking could come on and potentially change a game, which could be like Lamella or Son, whichever one he's left out going forward. Whereas if they were all fit, I don't think I'd worry, because I feel like our bench has improved significantly over the past couple of years.
So what's the priority then this season for you as a Tottenham fan?
To be honest, it would have been so nice just to see us win a trophy. Everyone, it's just annoying how every other club supporter is just getting on our backs about not winning anything.
We know how you feel.
Yeah. So even if it's just to win the League Cup and retain Champions League, I feel like that's still at least a step forward, because then you have that almost like that taste for winning trophies. You know what I mean? Like just to get that little taster. But ideally, at least FA Cup would be nice for me, and just keep on maintaining Champions League and high level football.
George,
and get into the stadium.
Yeah. Can I just ask you about the recruitment? Because we, as West Ham fans, have had this agenda against our board since we've moved stadium, basically, because they sold it to us, as this huge, fascinating, new era of West Ham. Mm-hmm. And it hasn't really happened up until at least this season, when we spent a bit of money and looked to be going in the right direction. Now you've actually, moved out of White Hart, well, not moved out of White Hart, White Lane's gone, the old White Lane's gone, and you're due to move in this stadium. It's all good. I've seen or the gist I get from Spurs fans is that Levy, you know, is a money grabber and whatever like that. With Gareth Bale eventually selling in that sort of thing. But you have recruited pretty well since then. Pochettino's come in, you know, he's been a quality manager from then on.
Mm-hmm.
What is the gist? Is it the fans are going, well, you know, what does he want? Is he all about this stadium? Is he all about this move for Tottenham? Is he all about this? Let's get in the stadium. Let's make as much money as I can, then possibly sell it off to sue an even richer owner. Or is it just like, well, you know, it's fine all having a stadium and everything, but the club needs investment in the players. You know, we still need to invest. Doesn't matter just because you've got this level, you can't just invest anymore. Is there like an agenda with the Spurs fans saying to Levy, come on, open your checkbook? Get some more players there. Is he the evil villain now for Spurs fans in a way?
Yeah, I think a lot of Spurs fans, including myself, like the thing that they've got against Levy is that we are like almost there. As you've seen, we've come second, we've come third, we've come second, all this and that. We've come so close, and every year we're saying we are missing that. Basically, Gareth Bale, pretty much. I'm saying if we had Gareth Bale, I think we could have easily contended for the league, because I just think he's just a world-class player. And we're just thinking here, like, well, why waste, for instance, 30 million on Sissoko when we could have put that forward to the next year and spent 80 or whatever trying to get Bale back or something like that to get the world-class player we need to actually do the next massive step of winning a league or a major trophy. That's the main issue, is that we're thinking that he's just all about the stadium, making us a bigger club so that he can sell on, is what I think's happening. And I think in a few years' time, we will start seeing reports of Levy putting us up for sale. And to be honest, I think it's all he's just trying to do is balance the checkbook while he does that. And it would just be nice just really to see a massive signing to really prove to the fans that we are seriously going for this and trying to challenge City or Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool spent 75 million on Van Dijk, who in my opinion wasn't even one of like the top 5 centre-backs in the league at the time that came about. So it would be nice.
And with regards to him, I've got to hold my hand up because I slagged him off when they signed him, and he's turned out to be a stonewall defender.
He has become well, but I just think at the time there was just such an overhype from him. Because I do not think he's a 75 million rated player, but I have to admit he has done pretty well for Liverpool.
Yeah. Just slightly coming off topic, just because obviously we're a West Ham channel, just to give people an update. Karen Brady was involved at the London Assembly Budget Monitoring Subcommittee meeting. I don't know how many more things I could say there today, and some information coming out of it was that she has admitted that she potentially they would be interested in looking at purchasing the stadium, which I think is the worst kept secret, that people are saying they're not interested in the stadium. Well, we know you're interested in the stadium. So potentially that's something that's happening. Also that West Ham have struck a deal with the LLDC, which means that West Ham are going to officially replace the green surround with claret. So basically, in theory, we're trying to hide the running track by highlighting the running track. So I think in hindsight, I think you think it's a good idea, the committee board, because you've got a couple of West Ham logos on it, but I think it's just, we're highlighting the fact we've got a running track, whatever people want to look into that. So that's the kind of the bit of the news. Oh, and sorry, the last bit of news is that the East Stand is going to get named after a West Ham, I don't know if they've said a legend, and there's been loads of jokes going around online saying it's going to be the Stan Lazaridis stand and blah blah blah. But of course, we all want Billy Bonds. We all believe it hopefully will be Billy Bonds, because he deserves to be recognised by our club. Anyway, let's get back onto West Ham Tottenham. Look, do you fear Tottenham? Straight to the point. Do you fear Tottenham this weekend? Yes. This weekend.
Yes, I do. In fact, I fear them for the week as well, but that isn't what this preview was all about. I do, even with their injuries, because let's face it, we lost 1-0 to a Glenn Murray goal against Brighton. Nothing against Brighton, nothing against Glenn Murray. It was just the most typical result we could have got.
But we
typical goal to concede as well.
I'll challenge that. I'll challenge that back. I said it beforehand. We set up wrong. We did. We expected that victory rather than go in and fight for a point. We expected to walk away with 3 points, mate. And I think when you speak to us and before that game started, we were talking like we had already got 3 points.
Yeah, you're pretty right. We probably didn't help ourselves with our mentality as well, but then we can have that mentality. We're fans. We're allowed to think that we're going to win, that we're going to spank Brighton 3-0. We're allowed to think that we're going to beat Chelsea, Liverpool 3-0, but it's down to the players to do the job. But yeah, I mean, that's what all week, all the start this week I've heard is the injuries here, injuries there. Tottenham aren't looking very sharp and all that. But, you know, for example, I watched the Barcelona game Spurs played a couple weeks ago now, I think it was. And I thought, but the Spurs are going to struggle here. They've got all these injuries. And there was a couple brought back, but it wasn't loads brought back. And I'll hold my hands up. West Ham fans, again, are probably going to hate me for this. I thought Spurs were actually quite unlucky against Barcelona. If it hadn't
I'm the same. If it wasn't for Messi.
Exactly. And I think there was a few dodgy moments from Lloris, which didn't help the defence's confidence either. But again, Anton, I'm going to go with this again. It's down to us, mate. So I am scared of Spurs. Like I have been for the last 5 seasons or so with what they've got. You know, if they haven't got Bale, they've got a new recruitment, a new team. But it's down to us. We've spent 100 million this year. We've got it in ourselves. We've proved against other teams that we can take the game to them. We're due to actually take the game to them and do the business. And hopefully, Mark Noble is at his best game. He's not his sluggish now self. So. Yeah, I am scared, but not too scared.
Before we come back to the Tottenham team, George, from looking in at West Ham's business in the transfer window, who was the one player, if you do know, if not, that's fine, just let us know that you maybe would have looked at that West Ham did sign in the summer?
Well, the thing is, I can't remember who you signed this summer and who it was last summer.
He knows.
Was it Felipe
Anderson?
Anderson? Yeah. I think I remember him used to being quite a good player, so I thought that was quite a good signing for you guys. It's like kind of, for me, seemed a bit unexpected. So I thought he would be quite a good player for you guys. But apart from that, I can't say any of them would have been a threat or anything for.
So is there anyone coming into this weekend's game that you do know from the current side that you do fear as a Tottenham fan, or are you literally walking into this game with an expectation?
Well. Obviously, I kind of expect us to win, but that's just like you were saying about fans before. You've got to kind of expect your team to win when you're going. You need to be confident going in.
Not if you're a West Ham fan last season. not last season in particular.
But I think it just comes more down to the occasion for me. I feel like just West Ham players just seem to turn up in a Spurs game. So players like Mark Noble, who normally I would say is not an incredible or an amazing centre mid, just always plays well against Spurs. So I'm worried if he plays well. This weekend, and if Andy Carroll gets on the pitch, I think he could potentially score a goal towards the end of the game. So hopefully we have a decent lead by then.
Is there any particular player look that you fear from Tottenham, or are we silly even mentioning that?
I'll just quickly say it. I think Harry Kane is the man that he gets a goal from nowhere. So it could be the kind of thing where we try and mark him out the box and he'll score from 30 yards. So he's always got a goal in him. But hopefully Fabianski's on form, so won't have to worry about him too much,
Good news for you Spurs fans, George, is Angelo Bonnet is not starting for West Ham. So obviously I know the last time out he
don't
ruined.
Put him down.
No, I'm not, mate. I'm doing him the world of good. I said he knocked Spurs out of the cup. That was the joke there.
Yeah.
I expect you to put him down. That's why I said
No. No, but as a West Ham fan, I think we're glad that he's not starting. Anyway, so let's say predicted lineups. I think West Ham fans are pretty confident we're probably going to stay pretty much the same. Same back forward, Diop, Balbuena, Fabianski. What's interesting, I suppose, is the left back situation. Look, there's a few bits and bobs coming out of the club. Is Masuaku going to keep his place? Was he at fault for the goal for Glenn Murray? Is it Creswell's chance? The club have put out some statements regarding Fredericks making a statement to say I'm ready to get back into the side again. Is that another hint that things are going to change? Is that harsh in Zabaleta?
I think that it's funny. I've listened to a few radio shows and whatever since the Brighton game, and people were saying that most teams that actually win anything keep a consistent team, keep a consistent lineup and stuff like that. But we're still learning. We're not at that point where we can just be complacent with our team at the moment. I think it is healthy to change it. I'm going to make 3 very quick points here. I never want to see Masuaku with a left back ever. I think he's a far better left winger. Problem is, it's very hard for him at the moment to get into the team with the players who are in that position. So he's going to have to make do with being a left back. I think Creswell is no better than him. But, there is a thing that if he's making mistakes, then possibly Creswell does need to come in at some point. I don't think this is the game to do it. It's too early for Creswell to just walk in. Zabaleta, I can't see Zabaleta lasting all 38 games at right back. I think we will need to change it. And if Fredericks is going to come in, he needs to step it up. And possibly it is a game where he needs to come in is the calibre of a team like Spurs, where you need to just step it up, boom, more than you would say a mid-table team or a team lower down the league. So I said it in the summer. I'm quickly going to say I said it in the summer. Left back, we need to buy a new left back. We need to buy a cover for Creswell or possibly someone who's going to come in for him. It didn't happen. We've had to make do with Masuaku, who is very good in attack, and unfortunately didn't do his job against Glenn Murray, and we ended up losing the goal to concede. He hasn't done that badly actually since the Everton game per se. Hopefully they will sort themselves out. Whoever plays in a position does the job. Which Zabaleta has been doing, is the one that the most consistent. So let's see what happens, basically.
Looks like it's probably going to be a no-brainer with Anderson, Noble, Obiang. Hopefully hits another rocket against you guys, George, like he did. What a goal! But what a couple of goals in that. What a couple of goals were in that game.
Hopefully Son doesn't reply back with it equally.
No, I know.
That was equally as good. Yeah.
I feel like it was played under because of how good the other goal was. Any other day, Son's goal would have been out there as like one of the best goals of the season, but
just typical. Just typical West Ham.
My obviously we've got Arnautovic. My one player to watch this weekend, who I think is going to take full advantage of the international break he has played for Ukraine, but I think he's finding his own form. He raises his game against the bigger clubs, so be it. And it's Yarmolenko. So if I were you, George, and the Tottenham fans, as a player to keep an eye on, we done a review earlier in the season with an Everton fan because they had been single-handedly knocked out of Europe by Yarmolenko. He is a top quality midfielder whose ball just drifts to his feet, sticks to his feet, and he's very, very clever. He's not got the best pace in the world, but he just knows what to do. He finds a good pass. Anyway, we've given you West Ham. What our thoughts are. What's your thoughts on the Tottenham lineup?
Right, I think it's pretty much going to be going for the best first team that we can. This is one of those games you cannot afford to rest players or anything like that. Because, I mean, to be honest, the England players are coming off of a great win against Spain. I think they're going to be buzzing. So players like Kane, Winks and Dyer, I think, are all going to play.
Yeah.
Because they had a great game. So I think, obviously, Lloris in goal. Right back, there's always a toss-up between Aurier and Trippier. Trippier, for me, is by far the best right back out of the two and should always play. But for whatever reason, he decides to switch it up every week. And I've got a funny feeling Aurier is going to play this weekend so that Trippier can play the Champions League game on Wednesday.
Okay.
Then I think it's going to be Toby, Sanchez and Danny Rose, left back. Winks, Dyer, and I'd like to say hopefully Dembele, but I don't think he'd be back. So potentially Wanyama, and then looking like Lucas, Son and Kane for me. So almost like a 4-3-3, I think. Kind of potentially behind, with Moura and Son behind the Kane.
The one player I've got great memories of Aurier because he got sent off in his first ever game, didn't he? League game against West Ham.
Yeah, that was. That's why I don't want him to play, but I just got a weird feeling he's going to do it again, and it's really frustrating.
Yeah. Well, let's hope he starts.
Yeah, you'll love it.
So may as well round this off by going for our predictions. So look, we'll go to you first, and then we'll go to yourself, George, and then myself.
I'm going to go for a reverse. The last season's home game, I'm going to say West Ham 3-2. I think there'll be goals. Unfortunately, I think the Fabianski will concede more than one in this game. No, I think the Spurs will have a bit of too much. Maybe they'll test the defence more than possibly United did and Chelsea did. But we need to start picking it up, and I think we'll get goals as well. So I think this will be a game where Arnie will score. He will prove to be the main man up top. You'll get a goal from Anderson with a trickery, and then maybe Diop will score from a corner. I know you never say give the goal scorers, but I always feel like I should justify why I'm saying we should score goals because we don't normally, to be fair. But yeah, 3-2 for me.
I'll take that, mate. I'll take that. George, over to you.
I think it's going to be a close one, again by one goal difference, but I think we're going to win 2-1. I think 2-1's It's almost like a safe score in football in a way for a win, but it's always I think it's going to be a close game between us. But I do see us kind of just edging it a bit. With feel like probably Kane will get a goal and an assist, and you know what, I'm going to throw out there. I'm going to say Winks is going to get a goal because he reminds me of Noble in the sense that he loves a London derby as well because he is a Spurs boy. Winks is a Spurs boy, so I think he's going to go out there fighting if he starts. Yeah. Both Harrys will get a goal, I reckon, this weekend.
I'm going to go for West Ham to have a clean sheet this weekend. I'm going to go for a 1-0 West Ham win, and it's going to be a repeat, not a repeat goal scorer because Lanzini's not available, but a repeat score line. He'll come back and he'll just jump on and hit the ball in. No, I'm going to go for that, and I'm actually going to go for a bullet header, Issa Diop, from a corner or a set piece. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's the first game back. Thank God the Premier League is back. We all miss it. We all from a break from the United Nations of League, of Cups, of Champions, of whatever they're calling it. George, thank you very much for coming on, mate. Please, when we have more games, which seems to be quite regular, please come on and give your opinion. And
it's probably 2 weeks, isn't it?
Exactly. Remember, guys, we are going to be filming from the Supporters Club. This is going to be actually my first game this season coming down this weekend, which is not like me, but it's first game this season, so I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully we can get 3 points for it. Make sure you are joining up with the official Supporters Club. We have a cool competition coming up with Umbro. I know I've said it to you, but I got confirmation through today that they're sending us some stuff to send out to you fans. We've got a couple of other auction items that we're going to be put up for Isla Caton. We're obviously raising money for Isla. And then the Rib Man of London. If you are kicking about the stadium and you fancy a rib roll, go up to Rib Man, ask him, mention Irons United, and you get a discount on your rib roll. They are very good. I will be there. So George, thanks very much, mate. We'll put some link in the description below to your channel, etc. And if you're a Spurs fan, I hope you lose. If you're a West Ham fan, come on your hands. He's been George, he's been Luke, I've been Anton. Come on your hands.